Hello there, Mike the MC, bringing another self-care video. Can an old dog learn new tricks? This is a classic phrase that many people like to bring up about with many different reasons, but for me, in this context, I want to bring it up from the perspective of learning to connect with the different generations, regardless of when you are born, and how you can bring out the best of the people around you. Right. I think many of us think that when we go into a different working environment, a different school, a different state, different country even, right? Learning a different nationality, if we're traveling overseas, working with different people, that our background, in a way, yeah, it does build our foundation, but in a way, does it limit us from becoming something more? And I want to say there is a unique perspective of a foundation that can expand if we are willing now to build upon that foundation that we were given with. And so let me ask you this, everyone who likes to listen in on the channel every day that I post these videos, what is it like to rebuild upon something that you were given? Okay, maybe, you were given disabilities. Maybe you were given the best traits. Maybe you were given not the best looks. Okay, I'm going good and bad of everything with our DNA, intelligence, our skills and abilities, our influences in society, etc. Because this channel is for everybody throughout the world, the rich and the poor, right? And I think as a counselor, someone who's speaking to everybody in this perspective, no matter what hand you were dealt, no matter what perception that you believe, I truly think that an old dog can learn new tricks, and that you and I can really be open to ideas, but are we willing to accept them? Are we willing to change for something that is better or worse, right? And you see something that someone is doing in one country, and you ask for help. You ask for help to see if you can implement the same idea in your own state, your own country. And the part of the inspiration for this video also comes from someone that I talked with a while ago, and this person was very inspirational for me because she helped me recognize, hey, no matter where we are in the world, we're still making a difference. We're making a difference in our church communities, with the people that we grow up with the people that we are living with, by our charisms, by what we hold true to be the most important parts of our community. And yet, recognizing from different communities the strengths of those different ones, to where, okay, maybe we don't do certain traditions, certain practices from one place to another the same way, but yet it is the meaning. It is what is behind the scenes that matters most. And even going to some of the saints, talking about other saints, Saint Monica, she asked, I forget who's the teacher of Saint Augustine. I always mix this up. Saint Ambrose, I believe, asks him, well, if in my country where we do the Saturday penance, the Saturday practice, why is it that in Rome you do it differently? And he goes on to this famous quote saying to her, basically, wherever you are in the world with your community of your faith, follow the tradition there. Follow the customs, right? If it's customary here in Rome, follow it. If it's customary here where you are from Africa, follow the tradition there. And the whole perception is that, yeah, we understand truths, we understand how traditions are meant to be enacted, how they're supposed to be done, but yet following the customs of the people in different locations is also vital if you are able to connect and really become one with the people. You're matching the vibe, you're matching the traditions, you're matching what it is that people wear, what people like to talk about, what people are really focused in on as the most important topics of that area, right? For some places, right, in our own country, in the U.S., we think about the poor states who really are in trouble, who really need support with regards to their education, what they need to help their children and the youth from staying out of trouble, right? We could think of the problems, and then we think of other states where, in other contexts, that they are really doing well, they're flourishing, with great education, great housing, with better colleges opportunities, working environments, etc. All right, and then we compare different sports teams even. I'm going to bring in sports analogies here. Okay, the fact that one team in one situation can flourish while another team just disintegrates. Maybe some of the players got injured. Maybe some of the coaches decided to change up the game plan and run away from the formula that they were using. And that can go into the point, the metaphor, most perfectly. If a coach is going to change the game plan all of a sudden to where it feels like the whole game was rigged in favor of the opponent, wouldn't you feel upset that your opponent got away with an easy victory because your coach switched the script, rewrote how everything was supposed to be played, changed the substitutions, the personnel, changed who she, who was whatever sport you follow was going to play that day, to put them on the bench even. Maybe as a statement for, hopefully for a positive idea, but if it was for a negative out of pride, okay, right. There are some bad coaches that do the horrible substitutions at the wrong time, right? And so if an old dog is smart, but yet he's not willing to learn new tricks, allowing her pride to get in the way, right, that can destroy a team. That can destroy a team because the coach, the ownership, were not willing to adjust to the new challenges and benefits of the time. If we are still working with, this is another great metaphor that someone brought to work in this regard. You can ride a horse from one part of the country to another, and maybe you like horseback. Maybe you like to go and see the world, the wilderness, the weather, etc. But if you can also fly a plane from one destination to another a little faster, okay, maybe it's not as the same reactions that you would have on horseback if you're out in the wilderness, but wouldn't that technically be faster even, and you're done, and you're just not facing the same situation as long as you would be on horseback? It depends. But using the same pathway, you can have different means of transportation. And one may take you longer than another to do so, to complete the mission. They'll both be completed. But if you have to accompany more people, to bring more people on your mission, maybe even to drop off some goods a little faster than they would versus horseback, etc. Because if the mail was all on horseback, oh my gosh, in our country, wouldn't you imagine waiting for months to get your mail? And you're like, oh man, where's my money? Where's my paycheck? Where is my board game? Yeah, whatever you order, right, online, and all of a sudden you still use older technology and older methods. Like, oh my gosh, when is the thing's going to get here? Now, in this regard, you can look to the old tricks and remember, okay, if I was used to not using YouTube or using these distractions to feel good throughout the day, right? And I'm able to just focus in on what I used to, the old way I used to study without noise and distraction and just be focused in. Okay, there is strength, there's truth to that. There's truth to that as far as using the old tricks to keep you free from distractions. But then again, if there is something that is a great solution for the day today, right? How do you test it? How do you test a new method for yourself that really works for you? And this is where I think the old and the new come together. All right, where do you stand in this context of working with other people? Maybe you are old school, but maybe you like to use the new tricks in the day because you just pick up on them a lot faster than the people who actually live that are young in this day, right? Or maybe you are from a newer generation, but you like the old tricks. And you think, man, I like the old stuff because I can really utilize those skills for me, for my context in what I'm doing right now, because I recognize the truths from the older times really are what we need to stay grounded in, to block out the noise, to really be focused in on the solutions that have to be used right now in this context. We need them because we're being so distracted by other things that are not necessary. What people are saying online, the comments, the criticisms, the people, what they're wearing these days, etc., etc. And you're like, oh my gosh, just focus in. Forget all this extra stuff. We're losing time. We're losing weight. Or we're gaining weight, right? We're losing all these things. And we are just wasting so much effort and energy. Okay, so now it comes down to you, the magician, the dog, right, with regard to the metaphor of a dog and new tricks. Are you willing to learn the new tricks, but then maybe even tweak them to match your generation, your style? See, now that is where I believe the master, where you stand out the most over the other teachers of your day, over the other students, over the other people, because if you're able to take in the best of today's world and bring it back to the old tricks that you grew up with in your time, wow, okay, not only do you look smart as far as you understanding the concept, but you're able to bring the concept to any time, to any trick, to any method that can solve the problem. And you can see this in math, where many mathematicians still like to draw on the board and write the solutions out, differential equations, etc. I remember taking that class in college, and that was fun. And that would take forever to solve the solutions, but it would work. You would use the formulas that you learned to solve the problems, and you're like, yes, it works, it works, it works. Doesn't it feel good when you actually write down a solution that takes you 2 pages to solve, but yet you were able to actually understand what was happening, and you're like, okay, the change in speed, the change in time, I understand that this is happening because of the solution that is accounting for different changes in the parameters of, I don't know, you're throwing a football to a receiver, but yet the football is facing some wind, right? So of course it's not going to be a perfect spiral. Of course it's going to face some friction in the air, okay? And so you're understanding the world around you. You're understanding how the parameters are affecting the solution, because now you're able to use what you've learned in the modern day from what you've learned from the old day together. You understand the principles, and you're able to change and moderate those principles to the new time today. And that is where you as the genius will step in as the dog who learned the new tricks. Now you're able to teach students. You're able to teach your teachers even, because you understand something that maybe you are now ahead of the game that you understand. You're able to look at the same problem but with different solutions of the old and the new, and to really draw out the principles of the people who came up with those solutions, those theories in the first place to solve the problems. And that is where the old dog learning new tricks really stands out. And I think in this regard, if you're willing to take in the best of the old and to bring in the new for the new solutions for the people in these days, man, I think there's going to be a shift of influence, not only in our churches, but also in our schools, etc. Because people want change. They are tired of, I guess you would argue, how people say, oh, there's a lack of discipline among the teachers. There's a lack of discipline among the students. So many complaints. Okay, so if we're going to be complaining so much in today's world, wouldn't you think that there's going to be a solution now that's going to emerge just because of all the complaints that we get from all the media, etc.? I think so. Now, what will that solution be? I don't know. If you have an idea, share in the comments. But I think the solution is going to be about where people are now going to bring that accountability in some way to where both the student and the teachers are now going to work on what has to be accomplished for their personal gain. Now, will school be adjusted to account for these kind of changes? I think so, because if you wonder about how students are going to each have their opportunity to grow, right? We don't think about maybe perhaps for some students the solutions or the contributing factors that affect them in their home life that may really put them in terrible situations with poor grades. Now, if we want to account for each individual unique person, okay, I think the way to do that is to help all the parents and to help the caretakers be connected with their family and kids. And you wonder, okay, what will that solution be? Is it going to be through the media? Is it going to be through iPads, laptops? Okay. Or are they going to become teachers in their own right? And so you can only work as far as your system allows you to go. But I think the system in some way is going to change in this regard for education, for students and parents and teachers working together throughout the world, because of just all these complaints that we're just bringing about throughout all the media throughout the world. And the solutions will emerge. Now, if you think you have an idea, share in the comments, but I'm curious what you would say for an old dog learning new tricks in this regard as far as teachers is concerned, helping their students. And you as students, are you willing to be brave, to raise your hand, to tell the teacher, hey, you're wrong, I don't like what I listen in this context today? Haven't you thought of it like that? And so in order to challenge the old theories, the old solutions, the old ways of doing things, you have to be willing and able to prove your solution to the teacher and in front of the crowd as well. And then you gain believers. You're able to sell your idea because you're able to defend your theory and show step by step how to get to the solution. And I think in this regard, if you're willing to challenge an old narrative, you have to be willing and brave enough to share and show the steps to the people in a major audience so that they can believe in you and understand that you are leading them to a new way of thinking. And I always have hoped that this channel could lead in that direction. I've always hoped that, but if it is not, that's okay. That's okay. It'll take time. It'll take time to get to that point to where people are now really diving into these videos and really sharing in more comments, more criticisms of whether I'm doing right or wrong, or however you think I'm going about with the theme of the videos. And that's okay. It'll take time. And now all I have to do now in this time of my life is just be persistent to where I just keep posting videos, and eventually once the crowd was built up, okay, now there'll be some great comments and great ideas of what it is we want to talk about on the channel and how we see problems across the world and how we're going to solve them, because I want this channel to be a way for people to really emerge, to become leaders across the world in their own right, to really share their perspectives on what it takes to become a leader. And I've seen that in several of the comments. I love it when people comment and they say that they've seen my channel, they're like, oh, I like what this person's doing. I want to really follow this guy, see what he leads us to in this regard, his channel. Let's see where we're going now. So, I don't know. Share in the comments what you think as far as an old dog learning new tricks, and how we can solve many of these problems, many of these fallacies even across the world, with solutions that are just yearning to be heard. And share some solutions to problems you think that should be addressed. And maybe we could talk more about that on the channel also. So, I don't know, share and subscribe, share what you think, and I'm looking forward to your responses. All right, everyone, I hope this video finds you well. I hope this one was inspirational. I hope you recognize, hey, you can always learn new tricks, but you can always bring it back to the old ways of how you solved problems before in order to teach your solution to other people. And when you're willing to share and show your steps to the professor, to the people around you in your community, of how you got from point A to point B in a solution, and you're able to sell that, be charismatic, people will believe in you, and you'll start to gain a following, and you will start to trust in your ability. The more you trust in your ability to teach what you know. All right, everyone, hope this video finds you well. Take care. Have a good one.